every detail. Multiple fan pages and alleged leaks from behind the scenes paint the same messy picture. If true, this moment could go down as one of the most emotional, heartbreaking, and unforgettable scenes in the show's history. So what really happened between Rasheeda, Kirk, and karlieredd? Let's unpack this alleged betrayal. The reunion taping was meant to be a calm moment of reflection, at least, that's what the cast had been told when they arrived on set. The producers had planned it as a semi-live segment, aired with minimal edits to capture the cast's real-time emotions. The set was designed like a cozy lounge, warm lighting, soft instrumental music playing in the background, and cameras positioned to catch every angle of every interaction. Rasheeda had walked in that day looking elegant but serious. Sources say she wasn't in the mood for fluff. She wore a deep brown fitted suit, hair slicked into a tight low ponytail, and minimal jewelry. Her energy, according to one stylist backstage, felt sharp. She barely spoke to anyone in the green room and chose to sit by herself with a bottle of water in hand, reviewing what looked like a printed document folded in thirds. Nobody could tell what it was, but she kept glancing at it, folding and unfolding it with tension in her fingers. karlieredd arrived later, all smiles, blowing kisses, making her usual grand entrance. She wore a bold red dress with gold heels and a waist-length wig that moved dramatically every time she turned. Her energy was upbeat, joking with makeup artists and waving to fans outside the studio. At first glance, no one would have guessed the kind of confrontation waiting for her just a few feet away. The reunion started like any other. Host questions, light banter, flashback clips from the season. There were the usual digs, some laughter, a few shady moments that made the crowd gasp. But the shift came when the topic moved to long-term relationships on the show, specifically Rasheeda and Kirk. The host asked a general question about trust and rebuilding after betrayal. Kirk started to speak, giving his typical polished response about growth and maturity. Rasheeda nodded politely, but viewers could sense her smile wasn't reaching her eyes. And then the host said it. So, Rasheeda, is there anything about your relationship with Kirk that you feel never got full closure? The moment that question hit the air, everything changed. Rasheeda leaned forward. Her hands were clasped together, resting between her knees, but her eyes locked directly on Karlie. And without raising her voice, without any dramatic buildup, she asked, "Did you ever sleep with Kirk?" Before we got married, the room fell into absolute silence. Even the host looked blindsided. The camera angle reportedly didn't cut away. Instead, it zoomed slightly in on Karlie, whose smile immediately dropped. She blinked slowly, opened her mouth like she was going to laugh it off, then closed it again. The tension on her face was unmistakable. "Wait, what?" Karlie finally said, forcing a laugh. "What are you even talking about?" But Rasheeda didn't flinch. She repeated herself, this time slower. "Before we got married, did you sleep with him?" The crowd gasped. Kirk shifted in his seat. He looked at Rasheeda, then Karlie, then down at the floor. His silence was louder than any confession. Producers reportedly froze behind the scenes. They had known Rasheeda was planning something, but they didn't know what, and now it was unfolding in real time. Karlie's face flushed. She adjusted her hair, crossed her legs, and said, "Girl, no, why would you even think that?" Rasheeda leaned back slightly, her body language calm but calculated. "Because someone told me something, and when I went looking, I found something else." Karlie's tone turned defensive. "Somebody told you what? You gonna believe some rumor over your own girl? I've had your back for years." But Rasheeda wasn't backing down. "So that's a no?" she asked again, direct and deliberate. Karlie hesitated. It wasn't long, maybe a beat or two, but it was long enough for the internet to catch it, replay it, and start theorizing. Finally, Karlie said, "No, I didn't sleep with Kirk." But something in her tone felt uncertain, and that was enough. Fans who watched the live segment took to social media immediately. Tweets flew in by the hundreds. "Why does Karlie look so guilty? That pause told me everything." Kirk not even denying it. Rasheeda about to burn it all down. And if that wasn't messy enough, what happened next sent the entire reunion into chaos. Rasheeda reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out that folded piece of paper she'd been holding all morning. She unfolded it slowly, looked at it for a moment, then held it up just enough for Karlie to see. "This," Rasheeda said, "is from an old phone bill from when Kirk and I were just engaged. Your number showed up 14 times in one weekend. Late night, same hotel." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. Her voice stayed flat, but her eyes were locked on Karlie like daggers. Karlie's eyes widened. "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious," Rasheeda said, "and when I asked Kirk about it back then, he said it was business. I believed him. Now I don't." Kirk finally spoke. "Baby, that was nothing. We were doing promo work back then. She was helping with an event." But Rasheeda cut him off. "You had no reason to be in a hotel room with her. Not back then, not while we were planning our wedding." The audience was completely silent. Even the host looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seat, unsure whether to step in or let the drama unfold. Karlie leaned forward now, her voice tight. You think I would do that to you? With your man? Girl, come on. You know how many men I could have had if I wanted to be messy. Kirk wasn't even. Then why haven't you denied it, straight up? Rasheeda snapped back. You've danced around it since I asked. Why? For a second, Karlie had no answer. That pause, that silence, was all the viewers needed. The segment was supposed to move on after that, but it didn't, because right before the producers could cut to commercial, someone from the back, a voice reportedly belonging to a lesser-known cast member, called out, "Wait, are we acting like this ain't been a rumor for years?" More gasps. Now cast members were shifting, whispering. Jessica White was seen leaning into Bambi, saying something that made Bambi cover her mouth in shock. Spice had both hands on her chest, eyes wide. The energy in the room had shifted from disbelief to messy curiosity. Karlie stood up. I'm not gonna sit here and be lied on like this. But before she could storm off, Rasheeda stood too. If it's a lie, she said quietly, then prove it. Look me in my eyes and say you didn't touch my man. Not before the wedding, not ever. Karlie didn't answer. And with that silence, the scene cut to break. But what came next was even messier. As the cameras cut to commercial, chaos didn't pause with them. Backstage, producers were scrambling. Crew members were arguing about whether the next segment should even continue as planned. One assistant director was overheard saying, "We can't go back to questions about music collabs after this. It's too hot now." Meanwhile, Karlie had made her way to the hallway just outside the studio, pacing furiously, pulling her wig back behind her shoulders over and over, muttering to herself. A member of the glam team tried to touch up her face, but she brushed the brush away and snapped, "Don't touch me. Not right now." Inside, Rasheeda was standing with her arms crossed, eyes locked on the floor, jaw clenched. Kirk had moved a few feet away and was speaking to a producer in low tones. Fans watching the live feed could feel the tension through their screens. People weren't just reacting, they were glued to every gesture, every sigh, every unspoken cue between husband and wife. When the show returned from break, the camera didn't do the usual recap. Instead, it opened on a wide shot of the reunion set with visible tension in the air. The host hesitated before speaking, clearly trying to tread lightly. "We know that. Emotions are high," the host said carefully. "But if you're both willing, we'd like to give Karlie and Rasheeda a chance to clear the air, once and for all." For a second, it looked like Karlie wasn't going to come back on stage. But then, slowly, she appeared again, eyes slightly red, lip gloss gone, heels clicking sharply on the floor. She didn't sit down right away. She walked to the center of the room and looked straight at Rasheeda. "You really believe I would do that to you?" she asked. Rasheeda didn't flinch. "I believe there's a lot you never said." The host nodded slowly, encouraging both women to sit. They did, but there was a clear wall between them now, emotional, invisible, and heavy. Karlie took a deep breath. "I ain't gonna lie, there was a time me and Kirk were cool, like, really cool. But that was back when you and him were on and off. I didn't know it was serious like that. It wasn't planned, it was messy, it was quick, and I thought it was done." Those words hit like a truck. Gasps. Someone backstage audibly said, "Wow." Even Kirk dropped his head and rubbed his forehead. Rasheeda didn't speak. She just sat there, eyes locked forward, as the confession landed. "So you're saying, it did happen?" the host asked, stunned. Karlie nodded. "Yeah, once, years ago, before the wedding. And I should have told you, but we weren't that close yet. And then things got deeper, and it got harder to bring up. I didn't know how to say it without breaking your heart. But you still came to my wedding," Rasheeda said, her voice trembling now. "You toasted to us. You said you were proud of me. And all this time, you knew." Karlie looked down. "I didn't want to hurt you. But you did," Rasheeda replied. Fans watching online exploded with reactions. Twitter was flooded with posts like "I'm crying for Rasheeda and Karlie finally told the truth, and it hurts." And Kirk stayed quiet and let this fall on her. Disgusting. Kirk, still seated a few feet away, tried to speak up. "Look, it was a mistake, a stupid mistake. I didn't think it mattered anymore." Rasheeda turned her head toward him, slow and sharp. "It didn't matter anymore. Or you just hoped it would never come up." He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The host tried to steer the conversation toward resolution. "What does this mean for your friendship?" they asked. Karlie wiped her eye. "I can't take it back. I wish I could. But all I can say now is I'm sorry. Truly." But Rasheeda wasn't ready to receive that. "You can be sorry," she said, "but you don't get to play innocent all these years and then suddenly decide to tell the truth when you're cornered. That's not friendship, that's survival." The room was quiet again. Too quiet, and then, out of nowhere, another cast member, Spice, spoke up from her seat. "I ain't trying to stir nothing," Spice said. "But Karlie, weren't you just talking mess about Kirk like 2 months ago? Like saying how he still hits your phone sometimes?" The room gasped again. Even the host looked caught off guard. "Spice," the host said gently, "let's not." But Karlie cut in. "She's lying. She's trying to twist things. I said he used to check in on me during the pandemic. We was friends, nothing else. That ain't what you said at the studio, Spice replied, folding her arms. You said Kirk liked double back. And now I'm wondering if he did. Kirk stood up now. Yo, don't put that on me. I ain't talked to Karlie on no level like that in years, but it was too late. The damage had been done. Now the rumor wasn't just about the past, it was about whether this so-called one-time mistake had ever really ended. The host tried to regain control. Let's stick to what we know, not speculation. But speculation was already ruling the moment. Rasheeda stood up slowly. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were glassy. I need a minute, she said, and then walked off set. Kirk followed her. Cameras caught him saying, "Can we just talk, please?" But she didn't respond. The remaining cast members sat in awkward silence, unsure whether to keep filming or call it a wrap. After a short break, the host announced that filming would continue, but the segment involving Rasheeda, Kirk, and Karlie was over for the day. Still, the crew whispered that this was far from finished. Backstage, someone reportedly overheard Rasheeda on the phone saying, "She had all this time to tell me. She sat at my table. She smiled in my face. She made me feel crazy for ever doubting anything. And now she admits it like it's no big deal." Fans flooded Rasheeda's most recent Instagram post with messages of support, comments like, "We love you, Queen, you didn't deserve that," and "Kirk been the problem, but now Karlie too." Wow started to take over. Karlie, meanwhile, posted a short story later that night, a boomerang of her wine glass clinking against another. The caption said, "When they finally free you from the weight of your secrets." Fans were split. Some praised her for being honest. Others dragged her for the betrayal. And Kirk? Nothing. No posts, no lives, just silence. But something was brewing, and what happened next would take the drama to a level nobody was ready for. The day after the reunion taping, the internet was still on fire. Screenshots of Karlie's face during the confrontation flooded timelines, paired with captions like "Guilt never lies," and she paused. She hesitated. She knew. The slap hadn't happened physically, but emotionally. Fans said it landed harder than any fist could. Rasheeda didn't post. She didn't tweet. But the silence only made the story louder. Karlie, however, went live. She sat in a dimly lit room, wearing a hoodie, no makeup, hair pulled back. Her voice was calm, but her words were sharp. "I didn't come on this show to be dragged like a villain. I admitted what happened because the truth came to the surface, not because I wanted attention. I just didn't want to lie anymore." Fans weren't buying it. The comments came fast. "You had 10 years to come clean. You don't deserve her friendship. Kirk and you betrayed her before she even said I do." Karlie scrolled in silence, then ended the live. Meanwhile, Kirk reportedly moved out of their shared house temporarily. Sources close to production claimed he was giving Rasheeda space, and that she was not ready to have a civil conversation. Her team declined all interview requests. But one insider leaked that Rasheeda had told someone on a call, "It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the smugness. Like they both thought I was too blind to ever find out." The emotional damage wasn't just personal, it was professional. Brands that worked with Kirk and Rasheeda's press line started asking questions. One retail partner allegedly paused a shipment, waiting to see if the narrative cleared up. Meanwhile, bloggers ran headlines like "Kirkfrost, cheating then, cheating always," and karlieredd finally admits what fans suspected for years. And just when the drama felt like it had reached a boiling point, someone turned up the heat again. A cast assistant, who remained unnamed, reportedly leaked an audio clip of a phone call. The voice sounded like Kirk's, and in the clip, he was allegedly heard saying, "Karlie's not even the only one. That's just the one who got caught." The internet exploded. Blogs reposted the clip. Fans clipped it into TikToks. Reactions flew in like wildfire. Karlie was just the tip of the iceberg. One person wrote, "This man is walking red flag." MTV stayed quiet. Production made no statements, but the rest of the cast started picking sides. Spice posted a boomerang with Rasheeda the same night the audio leaked. The caption read, "Some of us don't fake our loyalty." Jessica White commented 3 fire emoji. Bambi reposted a fan's tweet that said, "Rasheeda deserves better, and we've been new." Karlie, however, responded in the pettiest way possible. She posted a photo of herself from years ago, taken at a party that Kirk was also photographed at. Her caption, "The beginning of the end. Some stories ain't fiction." Fans took that as confirmation. And Rasheeda, she posted a quote. White text on black, "A woman's silence is louder than a room full of lies." Still, people were asking, was the audio real? Or was it doctored to stir more drama? The production team reportedly started investigating the leak. Some insiders claimed Kirk was furious behind the scenes, denying he ever said those words. Others whispered that the full clip, still unreleased, included even more damaging admissions. And then came the final blow. From someone no one expected. An ex-friend of Karlie's, a woman named Tonya, who had appeared briefly in earlier seasons, surfaced with an Instagram story. In it, she claimed that not only did Karlie and Kirk hook up before the wedding, but that Karlie what might still come out. Kirk's image was unraveling. His brand collaborations were dwindling. Influencers were calling him out. One even posted, "You got caught cheating. In the past, now you got caught cheating before you even became a husband. What part of committed do you not understand?" Started facing backlash not just from fans, but from her own business deals. A boutique brand she was supposed to collab with allegedly dropped her from a campaign, citing brand conflict, and her live event in Atlanta postponed. Official reason was venue scheduling, but insiders said it was because organizers feared protests. The tension was bleeding into real life, not just reality TV. Then, out of nowhere, Kirk posted a plain black image. Just silence. It only made things worse. Fans responded in the comments, "Speak or disappear. Rasheeda gave you everything. You let her walk into marriage blind." Some began calling for a full cast shakeup. Let Kirk go. Let Karlie go. Let Rasheeda tweet that got over 30,000 likes. And through all of it, Rasheeda stayed quiet. She was seen once, walking into a spa with sunglasses on, escorted by her assistant. No smiles, no wave, just a nod. Her security made sure cameras didn't get close. Back on set, the cast filmed a follow-up panel, episode 1, that producers had rushed to create in response to the wave of controversy. In it, Spice reportedly said, "The betrayal ain't just the act. It's the cover-up. And the way they let her sit in that friendship, knowing what they did, that's what hurts." The host asked the group, "Do y'all think Rasheeda and Kirk can come back from this?" Bambi responded quietly, "She's come back from worse. But this ain't about Kirk, this time. This about how many people lied to her face." It was quiet for a moment, and then Jessica White added, "Maybe this is her sign to finally put herself first." No one disagreed. And as the camera zoomed out, the feeling in the room wasn't just shock, friendship, the end of a relationship that was already cracked before it even began, and the haunting question of how many truths still hadn't come to light. And something on a balcony, sunrise behind her, in a long silk robe, no makeup.